The group 3 antiarrhythmics are quite complex, but they're actually a lot of fun to use and a lot of fun to administer and a lot of fun to learn about. So these are potassium channel blocker active agents. These channels are responsible for repolarizing the membrane. Now, it includes medications that cross into other classes, as I mentioned before. It prolongs the action potential, and it also increases the QT interval on the electrocardiogram. The most important thing that I want you to remember is that this drug increases the effective refractory period, and that reduces the response to atrial tachycardia. Now, the classic drugs in the group 3 is ibutylide, prototypical drugs. Now, sotalol is a beta blocker, but it's also a class 3 antiarrhythmic. It's a chiral mixture of two different types of sotalol. So chiral means mirror image. So, for example, my left hand is a chiral image of my right hand. Amiodarone and dronedarone are now new class 3 antiarrhythmic drugs. In fact, amiodarone is probably the most commonly used antiarrhythmic today, and I would argue that it is the most effective antiarrhythmic out there. It blocks the potassium current as well as the sodium and calcium current, and it also has some beta blocking ability. So you can see that drugs in this class cross classes. They're hard to classify, but let's leave it in the group 3 drugs. I want to talk specifically about amiodarone for a moment because you're going to encounter these patients on amiodarone all the time, and it's going to be a big part of the pharmacology cardiology lectures, and it's going to be a big part of your exam. So, toxicity is important to know. One of the things that we see with amiodarone toxicity is pulmonary fibrosis, and here you can see a chest x-ray classical for amiodarone fibrosis. These are multiple areas of microcrystalline deposits. It causes pulmonary fibrosis because the lung is reacting to those crystalline deposits. The other thing that you see is a similar kind of destruction in the thyroid gland, a similar kind of dysfunction and destruction in the nerves, so you get paresthesias and tremor, and you can get ocular or corneal deposits. We call that corneal verticulata. So, let's just slow down and we'll go over this in detail. So amiodarone is the most commonly used, most effective antiarrhythmic out there. Remember, once again, it blocks the potassium, the sodium, and the calcium channels, and it also has beta blocking activity. I showed you in the last slide about the pulmonary fibrosis and the microcrystalline deposits. Let's talk about the eye. Cornea verticulata. So you can see here that with a slit lamp, and you shine it on the eye, you can see these very fine, very light, very hard to see discoloration and clouding of the cornea. You can only see it on slit lamp. It's actually quite hard to see with a standard ophthalmoscope. This is a classical picture of ocular changes due to amiodarone.